Welcome back to Lowcountry View of Hilton Head. My name is Earl Yates. I'm your host. My second guest is Steve Baer. Steve Baer is also running for Ward 3, candidate for councilman. And Steve, good to see you.
Good afternoon.
Now, well, you are already participating in our government now as we speak. You're a county councilman.
Correct.
All right, and you just received the vote to be on there, and you felt you're going to make a greater impact for the island, so now you're going for a town councilman. Okay, give me a brief history of Steve Baer.
Okay, good. Born in Manhattan, New York City, went to high school in New York City, moved to New Jersey, went to college and graduate school there in electrical engineering, have a master's degree in EE. Spent about 39 years with Bell Labs and AT&T doing wireless research, analytic work, cost-benefit analysis, economic analysis, and planning.
Wow, so that seems like when it comes to actual structuring, working through people and benefiting and finding out exactly who we are, what our, say, trends or patterns are, you've done a lot of homework on that.
I've done a lot of homework, and you'll see in my 4 years on county council that I approach the problem very analytically. I try to get to the numbers. These decisions we have, and we have about 20 of them ahead in the town now, are very complicated. The airport, the dredging, the heritage, the town center or the mall. Very complicated problems, many others. And you have to approach them with numbers. What are the costs, what are the benefits, what are the more cost-effective ways to do that? Should we be putting taxpayer money on it? Should it be sharing? Are the studies correct that back this up? And I always approach those analytically. I've always felt that if you approach a problem with numbers, you get faster solutions, better solutions, more rapidly, and benefit the community more.
Now, well, let's look at one issue, even though it's not in Ward 3. Harbor Town, for the most part. What do you view that? Because regardless of what ward it's in, you still have a very, very strong impact on the island as a whole.
Correct.
How do you look at that, and what do you see as a solution for heritage?
Well, Harbor Town, I assume you mean the dredging issue.
Yes.
Okay. The dredging issue is very complicated. It impacts not only Harbor Town, but some marinas in the surrounding area. I think the Harbor Town area is only about a quarter of the amount of work that's required. In my view, there has not been an independent analysis of that. The one analysis that exists was done by the people who would benefit from that. So my position has been, let's get a short, independent analysis by an outside consultant. We can both pick them, town and the beneficiaries. Pick that consultant, get a short analysis, perhaps share the money for it. I know the town has $25,000 already budgeted for that. And when we see that analysis, we'll see the amount of material that has to come out, where it comes from, Harbor Town versus the surrounding marinas. What are the options for getting rid of it, including carting it away or drying it? What are the costs of those options? And then we'll figure out what to do with that. We're desperately in need of that. And I've always said you measure twice and cut once. And I mentioned this to the mayor the other day, and he seemed receptive on a joint analytic study of that, quick analytic study.
Yeah, numbers, they say a lot of things may lie, but numbers don't lie.
Usually, and the laws of physics don't lie.
Well, but also, one issue that I see that may not be all the way to numbers that was different, and I've spoken to every candidate about it, is your airport expansion. How do you view that?
Okay, that's a numbers issue also, it turns out. I've worked on that for 7 years. And by the way, I have voted for every airport construction budget since I've been on county council, including tree work last week that I voted on. So I've been an advocate of the airport, but I'm not happy with the way that airport is run. The issue of the airport is twofold, and I just wrote a white paper, by the way. It's links on my website, and the Island Packet also published it. Twofold. Number one, we have to do something on the trees. Have to do it very rapidly. Right now, we're stuck in expensive litigation with the church, and if we go much further, we'll probably have litigation with the other communities. If you look at we've lost about 4.5 months on that right now. That's tragic, and it's costing us money, and it's accounting the church money. We have to resolve that very quickly. In the white paper, I have a plan to do that. I hope to resolve that 30 days, give ourselves 30 days from when we start to resolve that airport tree trimming issue. Now remember, there are 6 areas of tree trimming. We're only stuck on the first one right now. The others, some of the others are going to be just as contentious. The one we're stuck on is the on-airport tree trimming. Wait till we go off-airport. Wait till we go toward Palmetto Hall or Port Royal Plantation or the spa or on the other end. Those would be more contentious. Those can be resolved quickly, I believe, by negotiation. Neither side will get 100, but if one side gets 80 and the other side gets 80, 80 and 80 quickly is better than 100-0 in 2 years. Now, if you look at Ladies Island, we've been 2 years and about $200,000 in legal fees right now on actually a simpler tree cutting issue, and we're nowhere. We're still stalled in litigation. So that's tragic. We got to solve that tree trimming issue right away. The second part, what I call Part B work, is what should be the long-term evolution plan of that airport. The present master plan is at 5,400 feet. It was sold on the basis of regional jets. I don't believe 5,400 feet is enough for regional jets. And if you read that plan carefully, 5,400 foot is the takeoff length. The landing length in that plan is 4,597 feet. I don't believe the airlines will run regional jets with those numbers. So the real numbers are going to be longer. Get those real numbers. That's not hard. That's a week's work. I had Bombardier run some computer studies for me on that. That's not a difficult thing. Get those numbers, be truthful about them, give them to the public, including the costs, and let's have a referendum. Simple, not political, let the public decide. In fact, one of the magazines ran a survey. 2/3 of the people were against a massive expansion like that. The master plan, which tends to underplay the numbers, says $52 million in costs, $3.4 million in local costs here to us locals, $600,000 a year in annual charges, and that tends to underplay it. Now, $600,000 a year new dollars that we have to pay for that 5,400 foot extension, which isn't going to be enough for regional jets. And this is a time when we're closing libraries because we can't find $200,000. I was at a meeting this morning about that. We're going to reduce hours at the Hilton Head Library and other libraries because we can't find $200,000 of the budget. We can find $600,000. So that ought to be a referendum.
So for you, what's your first plan of attack?
Okay, I published the white paper. As soon as this election cycle is over, I'm going to be going on the bully pulpit to get people around a conference table with a big whiteboard at the end, and we're going to negotiate and solve that short-term tree trimming issue. Either we're going to negotiate it or we're going to have the numbers and say, well, numbers are A, B, C, and these parties can't agree on the plan using those numbers.
So you feel that the most important issue at hand for the councilman of Ward 3 is by far the airport?
No, I think that's one of about 15 issues that we have.
So you have quite a few that
we've got the Harbortown dredging, we've got the heritage in the short term, and I published a plan on that last August, and parts of that plan are being implemented. We've got what to do with the mall area. We've got regeneration of the town without turning it into Jersey City or Miami Beach. And I have another worry. There were about 15 or 20 items on that list. I just added another one. I've looked at this election cycle, and I looked at the big special interest money pouring into this election. And it's my opinion some people are special interests are trying to buy this election. $3 per registered voter. That's unheard of in any Hilton Head election. $3 per registered voter has been put into this campaign. $20,000, over $20,000 by one of the candidates. And if you look at the list of campaign donors, special interest money. Builders, developers, large realtors, and if they get control of town council, it'll turn into Jersey City or Miami Beach. And I think that's a real problem. We want to keep this area nice, we want to rejuvenate it, but we don't want to turn it into a big city.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, I'm from the island, and to see it change that drastically, it's already changed quite a bit now, but we're all working through that, and it's understandable. I mean, what I've loved so far about all the interviews of the candidates like yourself is everyone has their passion in a different area. And of course, dealing with the money side, it's great to see that numbers mean a whole lot to you. And and most things are done by numbers, whether it be cost or just evaluation process. And you seem to not only have a passion for it, but you've already started your homework and working pretty hard.
I love numbers. One of the first things I did on county council is I asked for an audit of existing construction projects and completed construction projects. We found so much money squirreled away in cubby holes in what was called contingency funds, because we always overestimate this project. We lived for over a year without a tax increase just on using that money.
Yeah. Steve, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Earl.
It's always good when you can learn something from someone that you're interviewing, and that was
Thank you, sir.
Certainly my pleasure today. Well, of course, this has been Lowcountry View of Hilton Head. I'm Earl Yates, your host, and this has been Steve Baer, candidate for Ward 3. I hope you've been as informed as I have been, and you've enjoyed yourself tonight. Have a good one.
So long.